The olive scene. The man's Italian sounded beautiful. No. Seductive was a more accurate word. Deep, smooth, elegant. A voice that felt as if it had been born on the very top of a pyramid. Carrying the calm, quiet authority of someone used to looking down from above. Even the rolling Italian consonants, which Aurora Shen normally found harsh, turned strangely enticing on his tongue. But no matter how mesmerizing his voice was, it couldn't ease the embarrassment burning on her face when he pointed out right there, in public, that she'd mistaken him for someone else. And she definitely couldn't ignore the shift in the eyes around them. As if everyone was amused by her outdated, clumsy way of trying to strike up a conversation. No amusement was too kind. What she saw was contempt, mockery, dismissal. But so what? It wasn't as if any of them were going to eat her alive. And realistically, she wouldn't be seeing these people ever again. Aurora didn't shrink back. She straightened her back with the poised confidence of a black swan. She smiled politely. "Pardon me, sir, my mistake. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening." Then she turned around and walked away clean, decisive, not a hint of regret. As she passed, a faint trace of night-blooming lilies lingered in the air. Lawrence watched her retreating silhouette. He set his wineglass onto a waiter's tray, the smile fading from his lips, replaced by an unreadable coolness. Well, looks like there's finally a beautiful young woman at this party who didn't come because of you. Lawrence, your charm must be fading. A younger man approached, having clearly enjoyed the show from the sidelines. He grinned, glancing at the graceful figure disappearing into the garden. Lawrence didn't answer. His gaze drifted toward the massive arched window overlooking the garden, the deep blue night, the flicker of lanterns. The man she had been looking for, Adrian Wu, was out there. Aurora finally found Adrian with the help of a kind-hearted lady. She didn't know his full name, only that he was called Adrian Wu, a Chinese-born art patron who had moved to Italy less than 5 years ago and had already founded a highly influential private art fund. The night had deepened. The sky gradually shifted from pink topaz to Klein bluer, tranquil, enchanting shade. It would last only 20 precious minutes after sunset. They called it the Blue Hour. A summer night in Florence, heavy with romance and intoxication. In the castle's garden, string lights flickered to life, glowing like falling stars. The fountain at the center, the great archangel, sent up a steady column of water, mist catching the lights in a dreamlike shimmer. Adrian was standing beside the fountain. A navy suit tailored to perfection, every line sharp and refined. He stood slightly angled, speaking with a few gentlemen. His black hair was meticulously styled, parted cleanly, temples sleek, the ends brushed neatly back. Golden-rimmed glasses lent him an air of cultured elegance. Aurora paused. She smoothed the curve-hugging dress at her waist, tucked a strand of soft waves behind her ear, mentally rehearsed her lines, and began walking forward with a poised smile. Her Jimmy Choo heels clicked crisply across the marble path. The sound caught Adrian's attention. He turned, the polite smile from his earlier conversation still lingering, until he saw the woman approaching. Black hair, red lips. Her wavy hair swayed with each step, graceful, confident, dazzling, like a rose in full bloom. Her arrival seized his attention completely. The men beside him called his name several times, but he no longer heard a single word. At the same moment, Aurora finally got a clear look at his face, and remembered. Her steps faltered. It was him. A fleeting entanglement she thought she'd left behind. She never expected to meet him here. She hesitated for a moment, lifting her glass, letting a soft, ironic smile touch her lips. Look at that, fate truly enjoyed playing games. But retreat wasn't an option. She'd worked far too hard to get here all because of him. Aurora inhaled slowly, lifted her chin, and smiled as if nothing had happened before walking toward him again. "Good evening, Mr. Wu." Only when her clear voice reached him did Adrian's world snap back into motion. He refocused, his tone warm and low. "Good evening." His dark, almond-shaped eyes curved slightly under the gold-rimmed glasses, gentle, but with a subtle, dangerous charm. But he was not a man one could approach easily. Like anyone with real power, beneath the softness in his gaze lay an unmistakable edge and arrogance shaped by influence and privilege. Even if he didn't intend it. Aurora extended her hand as though they were strangers meeting for the first time, and with a bright, flawless smile, she said, "My name is Aurora Sh. Aurora Shen, Professor Adam's student. It's a pleasure to meet you." Adrian Wu took the hand she offered. The light reflected off his gold-rimmed glasses, as if hiding unspoken thoughts. "And Miss Shen is still in school?" His gaze lingered on her lips, before drifting away. "Yes, but I'm graduating soon." "And what is it that Miss Shen wants to discuss with me?" There was a faint glimmer of interest in Adrian's eyes, as though he had already guessed part of the answer. Aurora realized he wasn't one for small talk, so she didn't bother with the compliments she'd prepared. Instead, she smiled. "You're perceptive, Mr. Wu. I came here tonight specifically because I'm preparing for my graduation exhibition. Your oil painting, The Ode to Desire, is the soul of my concept. If I could obtain your authorization, I would pour my absolute best into presenting it flawlessly." Adrian lowered his gaze and took a sip of wine, silent for a moment. "I understand," he finally spoke, gentle, but leaving no room for negotiation. "But I'm afraid that, for now, I have no intention of lending that painting." His refusal was so light, so polite, that it was even harder to challenge than a blunt rejection. Aurora tightened her hold on her champagne glass. She had anticipated this possibility, just not that he would shut the door so cleanly without leaving the smallest crack for her to argue. "May I ask why? If it's a matter of timing, I can wait. If it's the format of the collaboration, we can discuss it. But if it's because of what?" Adrian interrupted, his voice teasing. Aurora lowered her eyes. "If it's because of something personal, please trust my ability. I don't doubt your ability. After all, you're favored by both Florence Academy of Art, and Professor Adam being chosen already speaks for itself." Behind the glasses, his eyes narrowed slightly. "But I don't like authorizing my pieces casually. Especially that painting." His smile remained, but the firmness beneath it was enough to make her momentarily dizzy. Arguing with a man like him was pointless. One sentence from him could settle everything. She drew a steady breath, trying to remain calm. "I understand. Thank you for your time." Adrian let out a soft, amused laugh, a spark of interest flickering in his eyes. The woman standing before him tonight, and the woman from that night in Milan, felt like two completely different people. "Miss Shen, to be honest, it's rare for someone to make such a direct request to me at a party. You're the first." Just when she thought the conversation was over, he shifted the situation again, offering a sliver of hope. "How about this? Would you mind coming to see me again? Bring your complete exhibition plan then, and I'll make a decision." Her heart skipped. She lifted her gaze, smiling brightly. "I don't mind at all." Adrian handed her his phone, signaling for her to leave her number. As she typed, a thought suddenly struck her. She looked up. "Mr. Wu, do you use WeChat?" He let out a low, unexpected chuckle. "Of course I do." And just like that, she got what she came for. A direct line to Adrian Wu, a man who was wealthy, handsome, worldly, and heavily invested in the arts. She would make sure he never regretted this decision. Returning his phone, she brushed her gaze over his long, elegant fingernail ring, which meant he wasn't married. Adrian said nothing more. He simply raised his glass toward her in a quiet toast, then turned and walked back into the crowd. Aurora stayed where she was, exhaling slowly as she finished the rest of her champagne. The alcohol warmed her throat, then her stomach. She knew very well. To a man like Adrian Wu, who was used to being approached, her request for his contact was practically an olive branch tossed back in her direction. She looked at his silhouette, tall, composed, wrapped in midnight blue, and her lips curved softly. And what she wanted to conquer tonight was not just a painting, and not just a phone number, but the man himself.